Good evening and welcome to the Standing Committee on Teaching, Learning, and Student Success. My name is Alex Guardiola. I chair this subcommittee along with my colleagues, Vanessa Alvarez, our vice chair, Maureen Benenda, and Susan Mailman, also members of this Worcester School Committee. Also with us is from the administration is Dr. Morse, and I will have Dr. Morse introduce her colleagues in a moment. But first, let's do roll call. Madam Clerk.
Vice Chair Alvarez.
Here.
Member Benenda.
Here.
Member Mailman.
Here.
Chairperson Guardiola.
Here. Thank you. Dr. Morse, if you don't mind introducing yourself for the record and your colleagues, please.
Through the chair, good evening. My name is Dr. Marie Morse. I am the Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning, and to my left is Laurie Kushka, the Director of Early Education. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we have a few items this evening, so let's get started right away. Our first item is GB 2-61. Member Mailman made a motion to get accounting on the CPPI grant spending to date and a forecast of future spending. Dr. Morse?
Through the chair, we're very excited about this grant. The CPPI grant has opened up many doors between the district and some of our community providers. I'm going to ask Director Kushka to give you some accounting numbers and give you an update on how the grant is going.
Thank you. Sorry. Currently we have hired our special education team for the CPPI services that are being provided at the Guild of St. Agnes at both Grove Street and Granite Street, and the Y program at Salem. Those three team members are servicing the children that are on IEPs in their own classrooms, and we currently have 20 children that are now staying in the Y and at the Guild and not having to come to the Worcester Public Schools for their special education services. In addition, we have been able to purchase many items for the Y, the Guild, and the Worcester Public Schools, as we had spoke about at our last meeting. The items that we purchased have been curriculum items to align with the curriculums that are in our Worcester Public School preschools. The CKLA curriculum kits have been purchased for the 12 classrooms at the Y and at the Guild. Currently, in about 15 minutes, there'll be a training going on for the Y teachers from our Worcester Public School preschool, kindergarten, and special education staff on the use of the CKLA. And then it will be mimicked for the Guild of St. Agnes when they have a professional development day. In addition to those CKLA curriculum kits, we have purchased the CPPI supplemental kits so that all of these classrooms also have the supplemental materials that are needed to boost the curriculum. They have also gone into classrooms and with feedback from the staff at the Y and at the Guild, purchased materials that the Y and the Guild staff have deemed necessary to move forward, including cube chairs, bean bags, adaptive environment room dividers, so that we can really beef up the environments that these children are in. Different books to supplement the curriculum, ESI kits to help screen the children, really mimicking what's happening in the Worcester Public Schools based on what the directors and the staff at these programs have said that they want and that they need. In addition, materials for classrooms and offices have been purchased under the current grant. Moving forward, there will be additional items purchased after July 1st. That will include book sets, gross motor activity equipment, outdoor play equipment, material for social emotional rest and relaxation, and then like the typical classroom materials, rugs, floor chairs, and manipulative materials.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I will begin with our Vice Chair, Member Alvarez. Any questions or comments for the administration?
No questions or comments.
Thank you. Member Mailman, any questions or comments for the administration?
So the backup for this meeting is May 9th, right? So when I was reading all this, I'm like, oh crap, we're losing $200,000, all the okay. So
Yeah.
what am I reading wrong here?
Sure. So when this grant was first developed,
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, there was such a delay
Yeah,
in receiving the funds. When this was originally, when the budget was originally proposed, we were going to put in a classroom in the Worcester Public Schools. That's the $200,000. The money didn't come until very late. We weren't able to do that, and then we were asked not to do that, so that $200,000 was then spent on the items that I
okay.
just discussed.
Okay, so you just kind of reviewed what happened after approval on May 6th. And then is this the funding from the state that is for the other gateway cities for early education, or is that, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think there's two pots of money. This
Yep.
money here was the initial money. It's not the money that was created for universal pre-K.
Yep.
It's the money that was created for the Commonwealth Preschool Partnership Initiative.
Yes.
The one that had the
Partners.
Yes. And this, when we originally developed this plan a couple of years ago in the planning grant, it was to really focus in on having our special education services provided in their home schools, which is their partner sites.
Thank you. And through the chair, we have been mentioned about getting universal pre-K dollars from the state. Am I,
That's not part of this grant. but
okay.
There's always talk about, looking
It sounded
for
like
more.
they were going to expand, maybe through the chair, Dr. Morse, you might be aware of that they were going to expand to the other gateway cities. They picked like 4. We weren't one of them.
Dr. Morse?
Through the chair, at this time, we don't have any additional information about how we're expanding, but we are currently invested in the CPPI
Okay,
as
great.
an opportunity to
Okay.
expand.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Mailman. Member Benenda, any questions or comments for the administration?
Yep, to the chair. Just to say that Laurie Cush does a great job, and no matter what money comes, she finds a way to have it work so that each program gets what they need. I just want to state that. No questions about the grant.
Thank you, Member Benenda. Yeah, I just wanted to also comment, I think that this is great, being able to, and I kind of second what Member Benenda was saying, really kind of making sure that we're using the dollars wisely and effectively. Sometimes, it's hard to do some budgeting, but when we get to, move some money around and make sure that we're doing it for the right reasons, and we're going to get into the right educated, also the right materials, and a lot of the trainings, I think is very, very good. So I'm going to make a motion to approve and file. Madam Clerk?
Vice Chair Alvarez?
Yes.
Member Benenda?
Yes.
Member Mailman?
Yes.
Chairperson Guardiola?
Yes. Our next item, thank you so much. Our next item is GB 2-94.3, request the administration provide an update on the Worcester Public Schools opt-in and opt-out options regarding the sex education curriculum, and provide the full scope of the program per grade level and information regarding the hiring of staff. Dr. Morse?
Through the chair, so we have some very interesting updates to provide. To my left is Liz Hurley. She is our specialist for physical education and health. And just a high overview over the many different times we've presented on the sex ed health curriculum, we have always provided opt-out numbers. What we learned, and as we've become more efficient and used some different systems to track our data, we learned that we have been double and triple counting students. So what that means is, good news, is much fewer students are opting out of these lessons. What we have learned is that some of the education programming that we provide at Know Your School Night may have been a factor in that, but because of our more efficient data collection, you will see that the data looks quite different.
Thank you. You don't mind introducing yourself for the record, please?
Sure, Liz Hurley, through the chair, Liz Hurley, Health and Phys Ed Curriculum
All
Specialist.
right, Ms. Hurley, if you don't mind kind of continuing on, please? Would you want to present anything to us?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
So, like Dr. Morris, like Dr. Morris said, that we found an error in how we're collecting data, but that's been corrected. We also have aligned our lessons with the new frameworks that came out in September of 2023, which our department has been receiving training through DESE, and that'll continue next year. So our new curriculum, or our curriculum maps, I'm calling them 2.0, will have those updated standards with them. And we are also supporting more programs, so we're providing lessons for ACT and for the alternative high school, and that will continue moving forward. This year, the health teachers focused on special education support and making sure that students have access to the same curriculum for rights, respect, responsibility. And then family engagement, we looked at how we can make sure that we're helping families make informed decisions on whether to have their child opt in or out. One of the things I did this year was try to attend any school night that, Know Your School night that teachers couldn't make. So I attended 5, which was really helpful for me too, to understand which each school needs.
That's great, thank you so much. Vice Chairwoman Alvarez, any comments or questions for the administration?
I just want to say thank you for the information, and I'm happy you guys caught that error and corrected it.
Thank you very much. Member Mailman, any comments or questions for the administration?
So I think one of the questions I have is, where is the data? So in your report, there's a linked, of course my battery is on 5% now. Yeah, this linked, is that the data?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can you? Okay. Okay. And in your first name again, I forget. Liz, so through the chair, I'd like to know, like, where would you like to focus more attention? On particular schools? What are some of the takeaways of where we still have, it's cool that, but how do we have to improve from where we're at now?
Sure. So through the chair, I think the focus will continue to be the elementary schools, and I'll continue in the fall to make sure that I'm as present as possible at those Know Your School nights, because when I'm having conversations with families and when the health educators are, I think that's when we can answer quick questions. One of the other things we'll do too is we'll update the website over the summer to align with the slight modifications that have been made for the lessons, with the standards, and making sure those are up to date, and making sure that those are frequently asked question on the website as well. So just trying to provide multiple ways for families to access it. One of the other things we're doing too is we're using Parent Square to be able to send it electronically, which will be helpful too, just in making sure families have access.
Through the chair, had you noticed any, so we've restated all these numbers. Have you noticed trends in high school or middle school? It seems like the opt-outs increased in the middle school. They increased actually a little bit throughout the system. Am I reading that properly?
The corrected data, yes.
Through the chair, so it may have been helpful to provide some of the numbers we provided in previous reports, but this is corrected data to give you an accurate description of the years 23, 24, 25.
And so when I look at the op-eds, just by elementary, middle, and high school, it looks like every year there's a little bit more opting out. Am I reading that correctly?
I'm through the chair. I'm reading that more opt-outs in the elementary school and fewer in the middle school and high school for opt-out numbers. Does that make sense?
In total, but we went from 1,100 to 1,200 to 1,300. So the opt-outs are increasing by number.
Ms. Hurley? Sorry.
Are you looking at the grade levels or?
Sex ed opt-out school type.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I see what you're saying, yep.
Okay. But potentially that could be because our school population has grown too. I mean, they're not horrible numbers, but they're not trending the way I'd like to see them trend.
Yes, I agree with that. I think part of it would be also that we didn't notice this error until midway through the fall, so that's going to, we'll look at how that might affect it moving forward, but I don't have an exact answer for you right now.
So, okay, so maybe the new data you haven't had time to analyze.
yeah.
Okay, so we get through the chair to the, we get another report in October. When do we do the second report? Is this a once a year or?
I believe it's biannual, Dr. Morris, is that correct?
So twice.
Through the chair, that's correct.
Twice a year.
So we'll get a report in the fall, is that, or is it Christmas, or?
Yeah.
I would recommend that we have it after probably mid-year, so that we're able to calculate all the information.
Okay.
Takes a little bit of time to come in.
So probably after the second semester.
Okay.
Or second quarter, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Member Benenda, any comments, questions for the administration?
No, just, it's interesting to me on the numbers, on the schools, like Vernon Hill School, 82. Like, that's just a surprise. I think they're the highest number, right, in 25. Yeah, they're the highest number of students that opt out. It's just interesting, you know, who knows why, but it's interesting. And I think it has a lot to do too with the teacher, you know, like who's the health teacher that's teaching the curriculum for the high schools, right? And how, I know it's the same curriculum, but different teachers have different ways of presenting it, right? I think it's so necessary in the high schools for the kids to get this curriculum. Not that I don't think it's necessary in the elementary, it's a good start, good place to begin it, but middle and high schools seem like that's the place that we need to put the focus. But I have no other questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Morse, do you have something else? Nope.
Oh, just through the chair, some more clarification around the numbers, just so I think you can better understand. Double and tripling wasn't every student. There were pockets of students in a variety of different schools, so you're going to see some inconsistencies, but it isn't everywhere. But I just want to be a little bit more clearer with our answer.
Thank you. Yeah, I just, obviously, I want to say thank you so much for the report. Obviously, numbers are my favorite thing in the world, just because you get to see real raw data. But obviously, it's good to see, I'm actually excited to see our next biannual report, just because I think we'll have a little more clarity on some of the things that we missed. Obviously, the one question I had was, and not by anybody's fault, just how did we miss the double and tripling? Was it just because we were double counting somebody, or?
Through the chair, I wish I could answer that, but I can get a response from Marco. Marco Andre is our Director of Research and Accountability. He's actually the person that picked up this error. So it's the form we use, and what I understand is you have to opt out every year, and some people were opting out, and it was counting for them 3 times versus just that 1 time. So it has something to do with the annual form that we use.
Okay.
We've corrected it, though.
Good. No, I appreciate it. And that's the thing. I mean, obviously, it's great to know that we're gonna be on the right track going forward, and we'll have some real data for us to kind of analyze at that point. So, good. So, what I'm gonna make a motion to hold this item to our next biannual meeting, biannual report for this for our meeting. Then, Madam Clerk.
Vice Chair Alvarez.
Yes.
Member Benenda.
Yes.
Member Mailman.
Yes.
Chairperson Guardiola.
Yes.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairperson. Mr. Chair, we do have somebody online who wish to make a public comment.
Yep.
Whenever
Good.
you're ready.
Please, if you could please state your name and your residence for the record, please.
Sure. Hi, good evening. This is Dina Tedeschi, and I'm a Worcester resident as well as a Worcester Public School parent of a graduate and a current 7th grader. And I'd just like to take a minute to comment on ROS 5-2A relating to the dual language program expansion. I think this is an essential option for our community and an all benefit. I also believe that parents who enroll their children in these programs are more likely to become involved in our school and our district community, and more importantly in their child's education. Within this last school year, there was a program that was run specifically at the Worcester Dual Language School called FIS, Family Institute for Student Success, and it's a specialized training offered there, a limited number of spots, but there was an overwhelming response for participation of those caregivers whose primary or preferred language was Spanish that participated in that, kind of another step to build not only their commitment to their student, their child, the school, the community, but it was really an integral part of how they could continue to connect in our district as a whole. And then parents and guardians, by nature of this dual language, they have to take that step to enroll their student into these programs so that they're probably more interested in engaging and potentially ready to take some steps to, again, help their student, help their school, help our schools. So I just wanted to make mention of that. I'd also like to comment on GB 4-49 regarding the CKLA. I thought that it was really great to see the data presented from the teachers, and it's unfortunate that not all of the educators participated in it that would have been eligible to, but I thought the data was really important, and some information that was shared there talked about how perhaps the program was going a little bit too fast, and I don't know the program specifically. I don't have an elementary student in that grade range, having had students that were through other programs in the district, but to say that I think a lot of these research-based programs are fantastic, and I think that CKLA does that. However, I think it's really important for us to recognize that students are still lagging from the pandemic and are not there between academically and potentially with social and emotional, which may be impacting that where educators can't get students to that next level. So I'm just here to make mention of the fact that I think it's a great program. I think educators and students are on board and moving in the right direction. I do think it's important to give some pause and time to that information to make sure that we're providing other supports that will kind of amplify this CKLA program to give students the best benefit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the comments. We are going to move to a third item. We're going to jump down just so we can get some folks out. Thank you so much, Ms. Hurley. We're going to move to GB 5-45 to receive a biannual update on the collaborative efforts between Worcester Public Library and Worcester Public Schools. Dr. Morris?
Through the chair, we're happy to provide some recent updates. Dr. Colleen Kelly, who is the history and library specialist, is here to provide some updates. One thing we do want to mention is the recent MOU with the Worcester Public Library has been finalized, signed, sealed, and filed.
Excellent. Dr. Kelly?
She stole my opening act there. The MOU, we're very, very excited to have that in place. And with that in place, it is allowing us to even strengthen the relationship and the collaboration between the Worcester Public Library and the Worcester Public Schools. In recent weeks, the Worcester Public Library teen librarians, in conjunction with English teachers and librarians in our secondary schools, distributed over 1,000 physical copies of each of the 4 required summer reading books for rising 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th grade students. So we're so grateful that they were able to provide physical copies to many of our kids. In addition to that, another really great change that has happened just in the last month is an update to the Sora platform. So when I gave the update in January, the number of ebooks that the Worcester Public School students had access to was 592, and we had access to 60 audiobooks. And many of those were the 4 required summer reading books. With this new update, we are now able to access 101,737 ebooks and 25,156 audiobooks. So with this additional resource, we really do feel that students are going to be able to access books that really speak to them and are really going to support their love of reading and their love of learning. One of the other changes that has been made that is in the English Language Arts curriculum maps is this year in English classes, English 7 and English 1, there were quarterly independent reading projects that students were working on where they had choice in the things that they were reading. Next year, those independent research projects will be in grades 7, 8, English 1, and English 2. So that quarterly, the expectation is that students are reading independently and producing. In addition to those updates, we've also been working closely with the Worcester Public Library teen librarians to have them in the schools and work with us around programming. They put out a calendar every year. It's on their website, and I am able to share those programming changes with the schools. And they're being very collaborative and purposeful in programs that are going to drive our kids into the 4 branches and the main branch. So hopefully all summer long, the kids are engaged in fun activities that are centered around reading.
Great, thank you so much for the report. Vice Chair Alvarez, any comments, questions for the administration?
That's awesome, and thank you for sharing.
Member Mailman, any comments, questions for the administration?
Yes, thank you. Thanks for the report. I was looking for numbers. What do we have for data that shows the grades, the ages, the usage? Unless I missed another link to another document that's not here, do we have, I thought we were going to be able to see kind of what grades we're accessing it,
Dr. Morris?
Through the chair, so we did speak, last time we presented about our ed tech prep, where library standards are being taught through that. It is through those lessons that students are being taught how to access SORA and research standards. So there's some changes in SORA. As Dr. Kelly explained, we weren't accessible, we didn't have as much accessibility to as many titles as we currently do. So the data that we have is based on the limited number. So when we looked at some of the data, and we haven't looked at it thoroughly, but it would only be based on the hundreds of titles that we had, whereas up to last month, we now have become able to access thousands. So I know that motion is really about how we are partnering with Worcester Public Library, but I do understand there's another library initiative that is underway that Dr. Kelly is also leading. So I would give a little bit of background and context to that because they go side by side and hand in hand. So we've had a dedicated group of parents working to try to help find library space, help volunteer, and be able to help schools establish working operational libraries where they have space. So we have some, we've tiered our schools, some are kind of ready to go, some need work, and then we have subsequent work. So there'll be an unveiling of a 5-year library plan this fall that we'll share with all of you previous to that. But we are working with the committee, the library committee, around providing, what do we call it, Alexa? No, not Alexa, the library management system?
Destiny.
Fall at Destiny for all the schools that are ready to offer library services. And the ed tech teachers may be able to teach out of those library spaces if they're available, therefore improving some of the experiences for students. So there'll be a lot more shared with you as we go into the fall around what the big changes for the library, 5-year library plan will be.
So through the chair, for the SORA data, which includes grades, ages, usage, you don't have that data yet, but you're going to have it for our December report. Is that correct?
Dr. Morris?
Through the chair, yes. It's going to be different than what we have because of the access to so many more books. So when we only had hundreds, the data was based on those
Did it
titles.
show us anything through the chair?
Yeah.
Did it show us that like elementary was utilizing it more? I mean, I'm putting words in you, I don't know.
Yeah,
What did it
kind of
What did it show us, and could that data be shared with us for the December meeting? for
All
our
the data
next
can be
update?
shared with you in the December meeting. What it shows is that SORA is a nice resource for elementary schools and that we are using it for enrichment activities such as summer reading for some of our middle schools and high schools. It's accessible to you at home. It's an opportunity for our kids and our families to use this platform
Yes.
to have independent reading time and access to awesome titles.
So I just make that motion that we get the data in our December meeting. Thank you.
Member Benenda?
Thank you. Through the chair, I used to be on the board of directors at the Worcester Public School Library, and I think that that relationship, you know, with Jason, they really want to cultivate that.
Yeah.
You know, they do the golf, little mini golf thing to raise money for that. I think they're good partners, and so I'm happy that, you know, you're working with them, because it profits them as well as it profits us. So it's a true partnership, and here it is right here in the city, right accessible to our students. And I think it's important. Kids read books, right? You see such a difference in literacy skills from kids that are read to and kids that read, and families, they take their kids to the library, than students that don't have that opportunity. So thank you for doing that. I think it's really important, and I do feel like for a long time that we have to get those libraries back in the elementary schools somehow. I know budget isn't great this year, but I do think that's so important to do that. And I remember, I think Nelson Place was kind of supposed to be a Worcester Public School library, but we just didn't have the funding when Nelson Place was built. They built it, the library, so that it would meet the guidelines, but we just never had the money for the custodians and a librarian, right? So I think that's something we should think about too, because there you have a place that meets the guidelines, but we just didn't have the money to. So that should be maybe a future thing we put on also, to think about. Let's see what we can do about Nelson Place. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Benenda. Yeah, a couple things. One, glad to see the MOU is done. As a person who does contracts on a regular basis, they can be tedious and tiresome, and but glad that's accomplished. Obviously, I think it's a great partnership with the Worcester Public Library. I too was on the board foundation, and I know exactly what they want to do and how hard they work to make sure that the partnership is really strong with Worcester Public Schools. The ebook numbers, oh my God, I mean, the ebook numbers in the source, all the access to them is fantastic. I mean, 100,000 is insane. That is great. As we all know, technology is in every single body. I don't care if you're my child, she loves her phone. She's 2.5, but it's not her phone, it's my phone. But my point being that technology, if that's the way we have to access things, obviously not everybody has a vehicle. And if we can get access to books for folks at any capacity, it's fantastic. And again, I'm a big proponent of the Worcester Public Library. I hope that in the summer, I hope people try to get down there, because I think it's a fantastic building. I think there was a lot of investment for students of all ages. I think it's fantastic. So I'm really glad that is, the commitment is still there. And you talked about having the librarians go to the school. I think that's a great initiative. As Member Benenda mentioned, unfortunately, just in the budget, we don't have enough money for all the things that we want to do all the time. But having librarians is so essential to the future of kids reading, and I love reading. I think the reading is fantastic especially at any age, but it's such a fundamental need for everybody to be able to start reading at an early age. And the fact that they have option is not just the books you have to read, right? It's not the books that you must read for class, but it's the books that you want to read, that are for leisure and that you get to enjoy during the summer months, right? I think it's a fantastic option. So I appreciate all the information. I also, second the idea of getting more data on the actual SOAR stuff for our next meeting, I think, or our biannual report. So the motion will be to approve and hold, and ask that we have the SOAR data for our next biannual. Madam Clerk?
Vice Chair Alvarez.
Yes.
Member Benenda.
Yes.
Member Mailman.
Yes.
Chairperson Guardiola.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Kelly. Right. Our next item is going back to the regular agenda here. So 4-49 to provide an update on the core knowledge language arts CKLA curriculum after the first year. Dr. Morris.
Through the chair, so I want to present some high-level information from the survey. So the Office of Research and Accountability conducted a survey for all of our K-5 teachers regarding their experience with CKLA, and this is our second year. We had about a 72% response rate, which we think is pretty good, because there were 383 teachers that were able to do it out of the 531, And so all the data that we got provide us with some information about the progress we're making, and then also some ongoing challenges. Because as you know, no one curriculum is perfect. You can't buy anything that is perfect for all students. But what we found, some progress highlights, were that teacher confidence was high. 89% of our teachers feel much more confident delivering CKLA, and 75% of them continue to look forward to using it in future years. 67%, which is a good number, found all the PD that they received around it helpful, and it supported their confidence in delivering this curriculum. And increasing their own confidence in their pedagogy and their practice was cited by 22% of our teachers. So that says a lot about our teachers. They really want to provide the best for our students. So 78% believe that our kids are learning grade level standards, which is great. And 75% saw improvement in foundational skills of students, the background knowledge, development, vocabulary, and comprehension skills in our students. And 45% highlighted student skill growth as their #1 top success in delivering this program over the course of the year. They found 81% reported that students were more engaged, and 18 noted that the engagement on some key topics were a key to their success. So the background knowledge part of the curriculum is engaging for students. So always with anything we do, there are some challenges. So pacing, 70% felt that in some cases that the pacing was too fast, and about 30% felt that it was appropriate and on track. And as we work to recover from the pandemic and recoup skills, we have to accelerate and provide rigorous expectations, but we have to provide appropriate scaffolds and differentiation for students. So the pacing, teachers felt, was a bit fast. So that was noted in the curriculum map adjustments. So also multilingual students and students with disabilities, they do need some specialized supports. And the 42% that felt that the Tier 1 core curriculum wasn't enough, so that we would have to continue to supplement and complement in the MTSS through Tier 2 and Tier 3. And some reported less slower growth than others, and 30% actually said they expected their students to move a little bit faster on Dibbles and Star, but they remain hopeful. And 26% said that they think the expectations and asks of CKLA are a little bit high and hard for the grade level. But conversely, the first thing I noted was 78% felt that we were teaching grade level standards. So I think this was in relation to multilingual learners and students with disabilities. And writing instruction, as you know, CKLA has so many resources, and as you learn a new program, you don't have at your fingertips where everything is and how you find everything. So 56% said they saw significant improvement in writing, but 10% felt that CKLA could provide more writing and more writing support. So these are things that we're very well aware of, and the survey was pretty spot on with some of the takeaways that we had. So that's a high-level overview of where we are with CKLA. I'd have to say the district, the teachers have done an incredible job implementing a very complex initiative in a short period of time, and have really dedicated to providing excellent instruction.
Thank you, Dr. Morse. Vice Chair Alvarez, any comments or questions for the administration?
Can I go after at the end?
Oh, sure, absolutely. Member Mailman, comments, questions?
Through the chair, thanks. And how, so this is teacher survey. How else, I mean, we're going to evaluate this program by testing, by data from our students and how well they're improving or how quickly. Are there any other methods of evaluating this program that are, like from your perspective through the chair as what the heck is your title? The deputy superintendent of whatever, what are your views of this?
Dr. Morris?
Through the chair, my view is that there is not one perfect off-the-shelf curriculum. No matter what you buy, nothing is perfect. My other view is that education has advanced quite a bit in how the brain learns, and with all of the work that's being done around dyslexia, we have learned an awful lot about how to provide better instruction for students. So this program has the foundational skills. But one thing I think we all have to do is be patient. You can't buy something and immediately get incredible results. And sometimes incredible results are not measured by a test. So I do know that everybody wants to see things move fast, but in this world of education that we're in, things don't always go as fast as we'd like. So my evaluation is walking through classrooms and looking at what students are doing. I have seen that they're actively engaged in highly rigorous, incredible activities, and I do see strong reading skills emerging. I see incredible scaffolds and teachers going above and beyond to provide just right instruction for kids. I realize that there is a bag of tricks every teacher brings into. You can follow a script, but that's the floor. We really want to foster creativity and autonomy for teachers, too, to meet the needs of their students. So the standards pave the way, and what curriculum you use is supposed to support that and make that job a little bit easier for the teachers. We reviewed every curriculum that was rated green, and they all were great. But the committee of teachers that were on the selection committee felt that this particular program would be the best fit for our students because of the multiples of resources that are available. So I would like to say it takes a little while to be really good at anything, and the pace that our teachers have been working in the past 2 years to implement this is quite a feat. And I would say we're starting to hit our stride, and I'm excited to see what next year will be like.
Through the chair, just one final question. We had talked when we purchased this program about having to supplement cultural aspects of what is provided. Can you give us an update on what's happening in that arena?
Dr. Morris?
Sure, that was one of the areas that we focused on, and we worked with Denver Public Schools, because Denver Public Schools was an early adopter of CKLA, and they were a big city that had a similar demographic to ours. And we worked with them to find out, like, you must have encountered some of the same questions that we had. So they shared with us some of the same situations that we felt. There were a few units that we pulled out immediately because we felt like we could do that a little bit better, or that was not necessary. Again, I said the resources are wide and vast, so there is no harm to the program if you pull out one unit. So what we've done is, as you've seen our presentation at the school committee, rather than just go through one curriculum, we're working on a much bigger awareness of what culturally responsive practices and pedagogy looks like, and there are different things. One is the practices the teacher engages in. The other is a view of the materials that we use. So rather than have district people auditing, we're creating an opportunity for our educators in the schools to be aware of what to look for, because every classroom is different. Every opportunity that we can to provide books, materials where kids see themselves is of critical importance, and we all know that. And so CKLA, while it was not perfect, we didn't find one that was. And this one, we believe we've Worcesterized it, customized it so that we're learning and growing, but we're also making sure that we're constantly looking at the program, at the materials, and ensuring that it fits within what our definition of what culturally responsive materials should look like.
Thank you, Member Mailman. Member Benenda, any comments, questions for the administration?
Yeah, through the chair. First of all, I agree with Dr. Morse that after 1 year of a program, you really can't evaluate its effectiveness. A new program that you bring in, teachers already, if they're experienced teachers, they've already been teaching reading for a period of time, and now you bring in a new program. And so it sometimes forces a switch for them, which over time obviously, you want them to merge the skills that they already had, what they knew about reading, and then also the program. We're actually in East Hampton adopting this for next year. And one of the things that we were concerned about is exactly what you said here, is there's not enough practice on writing. And so, you know, just to provide that additional. And then one other thing was that I think one of the criticisms of the program, and like Dr. Moore says, there really isn't one program out there that you're gonna pick that's gonna have everything. But it was the number of giving the kids like the books in the hand, like, you know, the reading of many different books, but you can supplement that also. So I think it'll be curious to see what the, you know, results will be. Pacing is always a tricky thing, like where do you have to get from the beginning of the year to the end of the year with kids? And then you have to also consider how many L's do you have in your class, how many special education, like, you know, it's tricky. And so teachers are learning a new curriculum, they feel the pressure of the pacing. I think that, to me, this looks like a very good survey, and it sounds like that they were honest in their response to the survey. I wondered, the only thing I wondered about is how do they define somewhat? That's an interesting word for teachers to think about, like, yeah, some of the kids did it, some didn't. How did Mako define that? Do you know, somewhat?
Dr. Morse?
Through the chair, he used a Likert scale, so that would be one of the descriptors that would show that it was somewhat is a lukewarm response, I would say.
Yeah.
Not cheering from the top of the roof, but saying,
Somewhat they
yes.
got it. Yes, thank you. That's it for my questions.
Thank you so much, Member Benenda. Member Alvarez?
There was a lot of points that were made, and I appreciate that those were brought up. So it kind of cleared some of the confusion that I had in my head. So that's why I was like, let me wait and see what everyone else has to say. This is a lot of information, and I'm sure like we're still collecting in real time. So I'm excited to see what the data is going to look like next time you guys are able to present that to us. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Vice Chair Alvarez. I just want to kind of echo some of the things that were said. You know, obviously there's a lot here, a lot of data collected. Obviously a new curriculum is always difficult, but it's hard to gauge at this early stage of its kind of lifetime. But good to see that there's some positive data here. Just one question, Dr. Moore. This survey, is it voluntary or is it mandatory?
through the chair, we tried to get as much participation as possible, so we asked our principals to give our teachers some time during a staff meeting to do it, because we recognize survey fatigue. We send out a lot, people start to get tired of doing them, so we did really want to hear from everyone, and we were happy with the response rate. It's good enough. It's a 72%, I
Yeah.
believe.
I worked on different capacities that we would do in surveys, and 72% is a strong response rate. I just didn't know, obviously, we want to get as much data as possible, so I just didn't know if this was voluntary. I mean, obviously, we encourage, educators who are maybe listening, if they could give us more data, we can actually make stronger and better decisions for the district going forward. But I do appreciate those who took the time to really give us as much information as possible. And I understand, as Member Benenda, what somewhat means. Of course, there's always that four-prong option, extremely strong, very strong. I get it. There's sometimes in the middle, there's kind of that weird kind of dynamic. But, and then, again, the other thing I wanted to say, there's obviously the pace. And of course, I understand that the district, the administration will kind of curtail certain things and kind of tweak things as we kind of move forward if we feel that some kids are maybe going to fall behind if we go too fast or vice versa. So I do appreciate that. But again, I appreciate all the information. Again, I'm a data-driven person, so percentages and numbers are always my favorite, and I guess this gives us a good kind of high-level overview of what is going on. Look forward to our next one. So I'm going to make a motion to approve and file. Madam Clerk?
Vice Chair Alvarez?
Yes.
Member Benenda?
Yes.
Member Mailman?
Yes.
Chairperson Guardiola?
Yes. Thank you so much. Going on to our next two items that we will consider together, ROS 5-2A and ROS 5-2B. 2A is to receive an update on the dual language program expansion. 5-2B, perform benchmarking and comparisons with other cities' dual language programs. Dr. Morse?
So through the chair, we have with us today Jessica Mendez. She's the Director of Multilingual Learners, and she has embarked on a year-long process of including stakeholders and community members around creating a robust, well-developed dual language plan and some promises for growth in the future. So I know that on the June 18th committee meeting, there is an item that is also there that is about this particular motion. But tonight, Jessica wanted to give you some very high-level information about the process, the work, the outcomes, and answer any information you may have about it.
Jessica?
Through the chair. So since we last met, we convened a team of 14 individuals spanning from all across different departments. So we had special education educators on it, we had ESL teachers on it, we had dual language teacher, we had community members, we had like lots of different stakeholders. There were 14 of us. And we met 7 times over about 20 hours. 2 out of those 7 times, we actually visited very reputable schools. So we visited Amigos School, which is in Cambridge. That is a dual language elementary school. It's a full school model. We also visited Margarita Munoz Academy, which is a whole secondary model in Boston, just to get some ideas on what works and why is it working. And so we had a group go to each one of those schools. When we convened the program design team, we discussed really important things that we wanted to make sure were uniform in all of our dual language programs. So we discussed language allocation. We discussed course selection at the secondary level. We discussed student recruitment and keeping students in the program and how do we get families involved. We discussed teacher recruitment and professional development as well. What we ended up doing was creating a design plan that shows a comprehensive vision for like pre-K to 12 dual language education. This design would work for a strand, it would work for an entire school, and it would work for any language. So it doesn't say Spanish in it, it just says target language, because if we ever decided to bring in another language, the plan would work for that as well. In terms of what we're doing in our efforts to expand, what we've done from the last meeting is adding a kindergarten and a grade 1 two-way classroom at Woodland Academy. It's currently a one-way program, so now we're starting up with kinder and first grade at two-way. We also added an additional kindergarten class at Worcester Dual Language Magnet School, and I'm making it 4 kindergarten classrooms for next year. And expanding dual language now is rising up to 6th grade at Woodland Academy. Replacing also at the Dual Language Magnet School, every year that an SEI classroom moves on and has their promotion ceremony in 6th grade, that SEI classroom gets turned into a dual language classroom. And one other thing that we have been working on is getting Spanish language arts standards on the dual language report cards.
Thank you, Ms. Mendez. Vice Chair Alvarez, any comments or questions for the administration?
No questions, but thank you for the information. I was looking forward for this one.
Thank you. Member Mailman, comments or questions on this item?
It's always good to get one school committee person onto one of your committees, because then they're bought in big time, and I am bought in big time to what we're trying to do here. So the expansions that we're doing, awesome. It was a really, I can share with my colleagues through the chair that a very dedicated group of people that wants to have an excellent programming in Worcester. We know other communities do it. Everybody might be a little bit different in the ways that they do it, but, you know, Framingham is who I'm after. Let's go for it. So the expansion at Woodland, the deeper work that we're doing at Worcester Dual Language, Wordle, I think is a funny name, but I like it. So I think all that is good. I will look forward to next Wednesday talking about things like language allocation that we had talked about. And I guess I'll hold that. Is that for the next meeting?
Dr. Morris?
Through the chair, that will be in the next meeting, and the entire plan is linked to that item. So you'll be able to peruse that before the meeting to
Great.
get a handle on all those. It's very long, it's very lengthy, and it has a ton of information, so you'll be happy with, I believe you'll be happy with the outcome.
Through the chair, I think we have another rainy Saturday coming, so maybe that will have something to do. One last question for tonight, I guess. I just like, this is something that is so needed and could value so many families in our district. And I love that I love that Woodland is going to be part of this program, and I think that's pretty exciting. The report card, because we talked about report cards, and didn't we talk about report cards in 2 languages, or can you remind my brain about that, please?
No, thank you.
The discussion around report cards is that right now it only provides, through the chair, sorry, it only provides progress on, there isn't a section to show what their progress is learning Spanish. So now we're going to add those standards in. Those standards weren't in there previously.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Mailman. Member Benenda, comments, questions for the administration?
Yes, first of all, this is one of my favorite subjects also. So my question is, at the Worcester Dual Language School, it used to be, you know, bilingual and then SCI, right? And then, so now dual language. So those students that used to go into SCI, they'll no longer do that, right? It's just going to be completely pre-K to 6.
Through the chair, yes, and they're also the TBE classrooms.
Okay, and they still have the TBE
We still have the
classrooms.
TBE classrooms as well.
So then my question is too, like, you know, when the program got to 6th grade, our challenge was, where were the kids gonna go? So it ended up that we chose Burncoat Middle School, right, for the 7th and 8th grade program, and then because we chose that, then we chose Burncoat High School to continue with it. At the same time, we started the Hanover Honors Academy, and we said, well, these kids are, you know, dual language, so they may intersect, right, with the Honors Academy at Burncoat. I think the problem that we had is that, and I'm hoping that your plan solves it, is that after 6th grade, after 8th grade, there are so many opportunities for kids to choose high school programs, right, in the city, that our dual language kids don't all go to that Burncoat program, which brings your numbers low, which when you're trying to schedule classes and hire teachers, there's just such a low number of kids, it's very difficult to do. So I don't know how to solve that, so I'm wondering, like, are you thinking about that? Like, how are we really gonna get the numbers that we need for Burncoat High, or are we gonna offer the program in other high schools?
Jessica?
Through the chair, what we noticed when we were visiting other dual language secondary schools, they encounter the same problem. It's really challenging because of the course selection, and add on top of that, if you're a student that requires ESL services, then it's even more challenging. Yeah. So what we found is that this is like a universal problem. So we were brainstorming a lot of different ways that we could schedule students and put in and create internships and make the program as appealing as one of the other magnets. So we were talking about building a culture around it. Like, can there be specific field trips that are only for dual language students? And do the field trips get further and further away until you get to 12th grade? Then maybe you can do like a trip to another country to really utilize that language. So we talked about all of that. We even talked about doing internships with local businesses and local community organizations where they can use their language and help in that business. So what we think would help is when we create that culture around dual language, it would be a competitive program.
I'm willing for anything to happen that we can attract more kids. I mean, it was amazing at the Seal by Literacy when we started with 12 students when we started it, and the large number of students that were so proud that they were able to receive, you know, those certificates. And I kept thinking as I was watching them go across the stage, what if they were all, you know, in some type of dual language program, right? So that would certainly be a showcase for Worcester if you could have them in it. You know, like there were a lot of Brazilian students that spoke Portuguese, and that's another area that we talked about a while ago, but we were trying to get Spanish first and then move to Portuguese. So are we still thinking of that? Are we still thinking about the Portuguese piece?
Through the chair, we strategically wrote the plan without writing the words language in it to open us up to be able to do other dual language, other languages as well in a dual language strand anywhere in the district. So the plan can work for a strand model, for a full school model, and any language.
Wow, great, thank you.
Thank you very much. And yeah, I just kind of, again, echo some of the things that have been said already. It's the beauty of being the last to speak. No, but I think this is one of my favorite programs, honestly, and I love to see how we're forward thinking, we're moving the needle. To have 14 people on the design team from all, you know, spectrums of our system, you know, whether it's special education, ESL, dual language, community members, school committee members. Again, I think that kind of synergy builds good energy, and it gives us the opportunity to think outside the box. It shows dedication. You know, 7 times over 20 hours. I hope you guys fed them, because that is a lot. Okay, all right. That's a lot of commitment there. But again, I think that it can't just be kind of a one-cylinder view and just being able to, we have to kind of take in you know, different perspectives to be able to be successful. So, you know, for those who were on the design team, I want to thank you so much for really kind of helping us kind of grow this program. I'm excited for the future, to how we continue to expand and offer different things. I do appreciate the fact that we're also forward thinking on the naming, so we can adapt other languages. It's not going to be just, you know, come back to the floor so we can change it one more time. No, yeah. So, but again, the Woodland Academy thing, that's fantastic. What a great location for it. I'm very excited about that for the kindergarten, so the two-way class. So with that, we are excited for the June 18th meeting, so we'll be able to kind of talk about it a little further then, and you know, we can ask more questions at that meeting when we do. But with that, I will make a motion to approve and file, Madam Clerk.
Vice Chair Alvarez.
Yes.
Member Benenda?
Yes.
Member Mailman?
Can I ask a question, or do I have to, through the chair, can I?
Sure.
Thank you, Alex. Would this program be something that we have at least a yearly or update on, I would think, in this committee?
Through the chair, I'd have to consult with Christy about where it would fit, and is this what you're asking to be a twice-a-year update?
Well,
Or yearly?
even one, just to make sure we're at least yearly understanding what we've accomplished. I'd say yearly.
Madam Clerk,
I'm fine with that.
Does that make sense?
is that okay, Madam Clerk?
That's perfectly fine with me, yes. Chairperson Guardiola, before you continue,
Yes,
there is one more person online who would like to make a public comment. If you're-
please. Please state your name and your place of residence for the record.
Hi, my name is Lila Pope. I'm a Worcester resident and a Worcester parent of 2 students at the Worcester Dual Language Program. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I just wanted to make a comment on 5-2A and about the dual expansion. Just being a parent of two students that attend, I have a rising fifth grader and a rising kindergartner, and I very much value the program in the school. The principal and all the staff have done an amazing job creating a culture in that school, and I'm very excited to hear that administration is thinking about expanding the program. And I just wanted to echo that and really have us think intentionally about how we do that, and very much involving the current administration at the school and families. We've created a really awesome culture after, fusing two schools together. I think we've come an amazing way after doing that and just having amazing programs. And so I just want to, move forward and hope it could be very intentional with the families and staff that are there. And hopefully maybe even the expansion could include 7th and 8th grade in the building with Worcester dual language already, because I think that would be a great way to build and continue that culture as we're expanding the curriculum. And I just wanted to say one more thing to overlap with the library comment, which was 5-45. Cafe Bay, which is the dual language kind of parent group that meets monthly, recently had a library tour there, and it was an amazing opportunity to go and see the library and see the families that came. So I just wanted to also echo how awesome that partnership was, and it was great to see. So I really value that as a parent. And lastly, I just want to say I'm a parent that did do the FIS program, and it was an amazing opportunity to build my confidence in building a relationship with the school. So I really hope the district continues to have parents and teachers be part of that program, because it really made a difference in my life. So thank you so much for hearing me.
Thank you, Ms. Pope. I appreciate the comments. We always appreciate some good feedback. With that, those are all the items that we have on today's agenda. Make a motion to adjourn. All in favor, opposed, so ordered.